Hello everyone and welcome back to F1 2019, the career mode. Today we are at Shanghai, China for the, I believe, third round of 21 of the Formula One World Championship, and today we'll be doing the practice sessions, all three, qualifying and the race in full. Okay, so we come into the race with a rear downforce upgrade, but the front wing upgrade has failed. It looks like it's going to be clear skies, and so we're definitely going to have to use resource points from after the race and all the qualifying and practice sessions to be used in developing that front wing. So yeah, we need to definitely fix that. It's clear skies. We're currently 4th in the development standings, so it's going to take about 500 extra resource points to be developed just into that. We're 6th in the driver standings and 6th in the constructors championship, but let's get into that and let's get into practice 1. Okay, we come back with practice 1 with a couple of programs passed and done. A lot of stuff completed for the first practice session. We get a total of 350 resource points that goes into our 508 resource points, so we have in total. So that's a great thing that we have. We can use down to definitely develop a wing and engine upgrade for after the race. Reputation goes up a little bit, so does our showmanship and veteranship. So we're going to simulate the practice sessions and go on to qualifying.
Welcome to Shanghai, China, for what I've no doubt is going to be a fantastic F1 qualifying session. Now then, Anthony Davidson, you're not getting any younger, but you have been involved in your fair share of qualifying sessions in an illustrious 30-year career. How do you deal with the pressure when you have that one chance to deliver a perfect lap?
It's not so much about dealing with the pressure, it's more about how you approach the risk and just how much of it are you willing to take. You're constantly balancing the car on the edge of grip from braking, cornering and traction. And over the course of a lap, it's easy to get that balance wrong. And that's why achieving the perfect lap is almost impossible. As you say, I've been doing this 30 years now, and it never gets any easier.
There's only a few cars out on track. We should consider getting out there.
So this session we start off with no engine faults, nothing, so we don't have to worry about time loss that we've had in the last 3 sessions. So we can go on to qualifying and qualify great. So I set my first banker lap on medium tires and it's going really well. I do run wide on the last corner coming up to the line, which puts me P11, but I'm definitely moved down the grid to P18. This is my other lap in the soft tires per second laps that puts me up to P15. This is my final lap, and I put the car up to P12. I tried to do another lap of it, but it's not going to put me anywhere. It's probably going to put me back up to just keep me at P15, and yeah.
Okay, that's pretty disappointing, but we can turn it around tomorrow.
We're all ready for tomorrow's race, but before we begin, let's have a quick look at those who will be fronting the grid. Leclerc, Bottas and Sebastian Vettel. With qualifying complete, all that remains is the main event. We'll be live and uninterrupted for the Grand Prix tomorrow, so make sure you join us then.
So I'm currently losing the rivalry between me and Grosjean because of the positions of qualifying that we don't really qualify. He qualified, I believe, P10, P12, and I qualified P15, so it has not been too well for the both of us. So hopefully we can recover and Baku, Azerbaijan, in the next race, and also maybe try to even out the rivalry between us here in the race. So we have a total of 733 resource points. We lose reputation with HAAS and a couple other teams, but overall we don't lose too much.
It's not quite where we'd want to be on the grid, but chin up, it's not the end of the world.
And yeah, let's get on to the race.
It's time to find out which driver is up to the task of claiming the Chinese Grand Prix. We're here in Shanghai. We're here in the Yangtze River Delta today, home of the 16 corners that make up the Shanghai International Circuit. 54% of this 3.3-mile lap is taken at full throttle, and we'll be getting up to speeds of around 200 miles an hour, with DRS assisting the cars down the back straight before they brake into the sharp hairpin at turn 14. Alongside me to discuss all the action today is Anthony Davidson. Thanks for joining us, Ant. And tell me, you were down in the pit lane earlier. How do you think the track conditions are today?
Well, it's looking a bit cold out there, if I'm honest. These tyres have quite a narrow operating window in terms of the temperatures they need to extract the best grip. So with a cold track surface, it's going to be harder to keep those temperatures up, which will lead to lower grip and maybe more mistakes.
It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. A fantastic effort from Charles Leclerc yesterday puts him on pole, and it's Valtteri Bottas that completes the front row. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Vettel, Hamilton, Max Verstappen, and Gasly, Grosjean, Perez, Weber, and Devon Butler, Ricciardo, Raikkonen, Carlos Sainz, and Kvyat, James, Russell, Lando Norris, and Alexander Albon. Kubica and Antonio Giovinazzi starts from the back of the grid. And now it's time to head down to the track.
After the points finish last race, let's aim to keep the momentum going.
So we start at the back of the grid. Of course, I'm trying to go through the different strategies to see which one is the best for the entirety of the race, to see which one's the fastest, trying to switch up tire compounds, and trying to just mess with the fuel gauge to see if I can put enough fuel in the car. So onto the formation lap, and we put the car in lean so we don't burn as much fuel, so we can save a lot of fuel for the start of the race. We get a good start, and yeah, the formation lap will just heat up our tires.
But we need to learn the gears, so go into each one when you can. We're going to need some work on the brakes, so put some energy into them and warm the tyres as well, please.
And it's lights out and away we go. Of course, we get a good lead off the line, trying to gain on Daniel Kvyat, but also Carlos Sainz is a bit slow in this first corner. I get pushed wide, and I fall back at a P15, but I also run very wide on this turn, but I also get a couple positions. I try to gain one on Ricardo and Kimi, but I just did not want to try it. But I slide in right behind both Ricardo and Kimi for this start of the lap, but Kimi's falling behind Ricardo, and I take that to my advantage and use a slipstream. So I take a big dive and kind of try to gain a position on Weber. So I'm right next to him. I overtake both Daniel and Kimi at the beginning of the lap, and I kind of fall back because I didn't want to take the corner too fast. And I just want to try to keep up the pace with Lucas Weber and see if I can do anything about this on the first early stages of the lap. So as we keep on going, I can try to stay in a slipstream, but I do run wide in that corner. I almost lose my entire back end, and Ricardo takes that as a advantage and just overtakes me, but I re-overtake him on the next turn on this long right-hander to go onto the straightaway, a very long straightaway that we can use DRS and rich revs. But I just kind of slot in behind Lucas Weber and just try to keep as much slipstream as I possibly can, since I'm not too close to him. Ricardo decides to try to set up a move for the inside of the first corner, the last corner, which is the hairpin. So I have to run wide while he's right there, so I don't do any damage to him. But I try hard, and I just kind of go to that corner. I do run wide as I do normally. I just take a lot of curb, or I take all the curb, and we go on to the second lap. I'm 6 tenths down from Weber, and Ricardo's about 5 tenths down from me. So I try to do as best as I can. Over there I'm checking a bit of something, but up to this next corner I'm kind of gaining on him, but I'm also kind of losing time. On lap 3 of the lap we have DRS, I have DRS on Lucas Weber, also Daniel Ricciardo has DRS on me, so we both try to set up moves for each other. Daniel tries to get close to me, but I set up a dive for Weber and overtake him. I kind of push him off the track, probably give him some front wing damage, but that's what you got to do now. It's just Devin Butler. So now it's just my eyes on trying to get in front of Devin Butler before this next pit stop. I'm trying to set up a move on lap 4, but it doesn't work too well. I still slide in behind him, but I do gain a lot of time. So I try to do a switchback, but on this next corner, he comes in. I didn't expect it, so I brake late. That caused me a couple seconds, but since he has a super soft tire, he's going on for a 2-stop strategy. I have medium tires, so I'm going on a 1-stop strategy. I'm overheating my engine a ton. Weber just gets in, and then I get boxed in by both Weber and Ricardo, but I squeeze right through them, pushing and getting my way back. So I get a collision warning. On lap 9, Daniel Ricciardo does the same thing. He tries to dive bomb me, but I also dive bomb him up to the next corner. He locks up. I get the position. I run wide. He's side by side with me. But I keep my position in first place till lap 13. Or up until my next pit stop. On lap 12, I let Charles Leclerc go, as he's obviously has the better pace than I do, and I don't want to really use my tires to defend from someone who is doing their own thing. So alright, on this next pit stop, so I come in, Ricardo, Kvyat, and Russell's right behind me. Daniel Ricciardo gets in first. I get my tires on, and I get held up by both Kvyat and Russell trying to exit the pit lane, as well as Ricardo leaving, so I lose about a whole second and a half getting held up, which really sucks. So I go in right behind, or I exit right behind Weber, which that could have not happened if I came in quicker than both Ricardo, if I engaged pit limiter. There was a ton of things I could have done differently on that outlap that caused me to lose a lot more positions than I needed. So on lap 17, Ricardo and Weber just get at it. I try to make a move on the outside, try to get Daniel Ricciardo. I do a switchback, but that's just not enough. So I do what I tried to do with Butler. I brake later. I kind of take a lot of curb. I push him off the track. I make sure I have no front wing damage, because that would definitely ruin our race, as it did in Bahrain. But now it's just a challenge for me just to catch up to Lucas Weber and overtake him. So I try my hardest to do that, and that's what I do for the next couple of consecutive laps. So I just want to overtake the Force India, because they are leading or ahead of us in the midfield championship. So I want to try to gain those points for HAAS. So I just do whatever I can. Of course, I bump into Lucas Weber, but it's a good overtake. So what can I say? So on lap 25, I kept trying to catch up to Perez since lap 18, which it took me this long. I was burning a bunch of fuel. I was in the red, but I was able to finally get an overtake on him here on lap 25, 3 laps from finishing line. So they're in about a quarter of a lap from the finishing. So this is the highest position we've been in so far throughout these past couple of races. So he tries to get back at me. He eventually does, but I eventually kind of push him out. On lap 28, Gasly eventually comes up out of nowhere. I did not expect him to come, and he just kind of hit all the pace, but I get into him on that sharp right-hander, and I break out off an elemental part of his wing, so he has front wing damage. But that gives me an advantage to finish in P5, the highest position I have ever been, and the highest position HAAS has been for the 2019 season. So I come across the line, or I'm coming up to the line on the exit of the final turn. I celebrate, so we come home P5.
That's the end of the race. We'll see you in Parc Fermé.
Ferrari have really pulled it out of the bag today. It's a great win. Talk to me, Ant. What was it that set them apart from the competition today?
I think a large part of the result comes down to temperament. They were able to keep their heads when everyone around them was losing theirs, and that's allowed them to get the best out of the car, to maximise the strategy, and to stay out of trouble.
Ferrari are at it again. An excellent performance at today's Grand Prix, and they're certainly a team that know what they're doing out there. Let's see how the driver standings have changed. Charles Leclerc's points today take him to the top of the championship standings. After an incredible day of racing, who was your driver of the day, Ant?
I have to give it to James. They pushed and pushed and found some fantastic performance. It was just a pleasure to watch.
It's time to check out the constructors' standings. Ferrari take the lead at the top of the table. Meanwhile, good work from Racing Point this weekend, who pushed themselves further up the order. And with that, we wrap up another weekend of motorsport. But with more races lined up, be sure to join us when we come back with more Formula One.
Good day today. Let's have your take on it. You really cut your way through the field today. What was your strategy?
I mean, we have a good aero package, but our power unit's also good, but I think the aero has been definitely improved.
You really looked in control of your car out there. Your team must be thrilled.
It was for the fans. You always put on a good show.
It's the start of the season. How do you think things are going to go for you?
Well, I'm going for the title. If I wasn't, why would I be here?
You had a few bumps and scrapes today. Who would you say is at fault?
I mean, Daniel totally did the wrong thing. I was in the right.
Appreciate your time.
So at the end of that, I'm losing the rivalry by 1 point to Roman, so it's looking very unfortunate for me, but I do get a couple of good instances of resource points. We also get the best finish we've had so far this season, P5, which, if that's going to be the case, if ending up P5, P6, or whatnot, I can see a win in the near future, depending on where we have the pace at. So I gain a lot of reputation from HAAS. I get a lot of sportsmanship, but
Remember to select a driver that you consider your rival from the rivalry screen on the workstation. Performing well against your rival can earn you respect and better terms when it comes to our contract reviews.
you guys can read the interview transcripts at your discretion, or if you want, but I'll give you some time to pause the video and read that while I continue on to the next part. Alright, so here at the arrow tree, I'm definitely going to check out durability. I think I'm totally fine with that, but I'm definitely going to develop the secondary wing flaps. I'm also going to put some development into the ignition system. I don't have enough points for anything else there, but we are gaining on Red Bull power wise, but I do thank you guys all for watching. I appreciate you guys sticking to the end of the video. Please make sure to like, subscribe, and share. Also see you guys about next week for another video, or about 2 weeks time. Alright, talk to you guys.